Discover how a touching reunion changed everything after a cop's shocking act against a 12-year-old boy. The sun hung high over Maplewood, Ohio, casting a warm glow on the suburban streets. Sarah, a devoted single mother, hustled between her two jobs, always thinking of her dreamer son, Tommy. At just 12, he wished for nothing more than to wear a police badge, imagining himself as a protector, a hero like the officers patrolling their neighborhood. Sarah marveled at his ambition, feeling a swell of pride. But pride turned to worry as she saw the shadows of the world reflect in Tommy's eyes. One ordinary afternoon at school, Tommy witnessed a classmate being bullied. A knot twisted in his stomach, but bravery surged within him. He stepped forward, heart racing, and intervened only to be met with the terrifying presence of Officer Matt, the very figure he admired. Instead of saving the day, Matt responded with harshness, pushing Tommy to the ground, leaving him shaken and angry. That moment splintered Tommy's world. He learned that even heroes could be villains. As the news spread through their tight-knit community, the air buzzed with outrage. Some rallied behind Tommy, their hearts swelling with indignation, while others defended Officer Matt, pleading for understanding. Sarah felt lost in the swirling debate. She wanted her son to understand justice, but she also believed in forgiveness. The conversations escalated, emotions flaring. Tensions rippled through the neighborhood, creating rifts that seemed insurmountable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A meeting was called by a local veterans group aiming to bridge the gap and heal the community. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped inside, hoping this might quell the storm. It was crowded, fellow neighbors watching each other like hawks. And then she saw him, Officer Matt, standing at the front. A wave of emotions rushed through her, but fate had a plan. Just before they were about to leave, their paths crossed in a small, quiet corner of the room. At first, the air felt electric, charged with tension. But gradually, as they sat together, sharing their thoughts, the raw truth emerged. Officer Matt, the officer Tommy idolized, wasn't just a badge, he was a veteran, haunted by memories of war and burdened by invisible scars. As he shared his struggles, Sarah felt her defenses soften. Peering into his world felt like peeling back layers of pain they both carried, but as they began to see each other, life threw another curveball. A startling revelation about Officer Matt's past sacrifice rose up, unraveling the entire community's narrative about him. Together, they stood on the brink of understanding, hopes for connection entwined with the harsh realities of their experiences. Just then, the echoes of unresolved questions loomed larger than ever. Would the community choose forgiveness, or cling to their anger? And could Tommy's dream of wearing a badge survive this turmoil? The air thickened with anticipation as they faced the pivotal moment of choice, feeling the delicate balance of trust slowly tilting. Would the truth unite them, or tear them apart forever? As the meeting adjourned, the chatter of the crowd filled the room like a restless wave. Sarah's heart raced with uncertainty. She couldn't shake the mix of emotions swirling within her: hope, fear, confusion. There stood Officer Matt, just feet away, his eyes searching for understanding, but the once vibrant camaraderie of the community felt frayed and brittle, like a thread ready to snap. Is it really enough? She pondered, thinking of Tommy's dreams. Would this bridge the growing gap between them, not just her and Matt, but the boy who once idolized him, and the officer he'd seen as a protector? The doubts gnawed at her as she walked toward the entrance, her resolve wavering. Back at home, the dim light of the setting sun cast long shadows across the walls. Tommy sat at the kitchen table, doodling on a piece of paper, his brow furrowed in concentration. Sarah could hardly contain her emotions as she approached him. She gently laid a hand on his shoulder, and he looked up, his bright blue eyes meeting hers. "Mom, what happened at the meeting?" he asked, curiosity written across his face. Sarah sighed. It's complicated, honey. There's so much we need to talk about. He pushed the paper aside, his full attention on her. Is it about Officer Matt? I heard people talking. Some say he should lose his job. Tommy's innocence pierced through her, and Sarah struggled to find the right words. People are upset, and some want justice for what happened. But you know, sometimes, the situation is more layered than it seems. Layered? Like an onion? He joked, but the laughter faded when he saw the seriousness in her eyes. But he pushed me, Mom. I thought he was supposed to protect me. Tears threatened to fall, but Sarah held them back. I know, sweetie. But we also learned about his past. He's been through a lot. Is that supposed to excuse what he did? Tommy shot back, frustration creeping into his voice. No. It doesn't excuse it, but it helps us understand him. It's important to see beyond the badge. Everyone has a story, Tommy, even the people we look up to. In that moment, they both breathed. A shared silence consumed the kitchen, the weight of their conversation lingering in the air. I don't think I can forgive him, Tommy said, his voice barely above a whisper. Forgiveness doesn't have to happen right away. It takes time. It's about healing, both for him and for us. Tommy nodded slowly, processing her words. He picked up his doodle, revealing a crude drawing of himself in a police uniform, but beneath it, a heavy storm cloud loomed. But what if I don't want to wear that badge anymore? Sarah's heart sank at his declaration. The world around them felt heavy, as if threatening to crash down. You can dream, sweetheart. Just remember, real heroes come in many forms. Sometimes, they fall short. A knock on the door interrupted them, shattering the silence. Sarah walked cautiously towards it, her pulse quickening as she opened the door. Standing there was Officer Matt, his face etched with uncertainty and humility, clutching a small box in his hands. I was hoping I could talk to Tommy, he said, his voice steady, yet filled with emotion. I want to make things right. Caught between anger and the flicker of understanding she now felt for the officer, Sarah looked back at her son, who was frozen in place, his own storm brewing within him. Would Tommy find the strength to face the man who shattered his trust? Would this encounter lead to healing, or more hurt? The air thickened with tension as they stood on the cusp of confrontation, each heartbeat counting down to an uncertain finale. Would forgiveness spark or fizzle out in the wake of the truth? Tommy's eyes flickered between Sarah and Officer Matt, torn between the desire for answers and the urge to flee. This man, who once filled his childhood with tales of heroism, now stood as a looming figure of betrayal. Sarah held her breath, wishing for some sign, something that would give both her and Tommy the courage to face this moment. Tommy, Matt began, his voice shaky but determined. I know I hurt you. I want to explain. I want you to understand why I did what I did. Why? Tommy's voice was sharp, cutting through the thick air. Why should I listen to you? You were supposed to be the good guy. His small fists clenched tightly on the edge of the table, knuckles white against the wood. Matt took a step forward, holding out the small box. I brought you something. It's not much, but I thought you might like it. He opened the box to reveal a shiny toy badge, much like the one Tommy had drawn just hours before. It's a badge I had when I was your age. A reminder that it's okay to make mistakes, but you have to learn from them. Tommy's eyes flickered to the badge, but doubt clouded his face. You think a toy will make everything okay? No, Matt replied softly, but maybe it can start a conversation. I've made a lot of mistakes, Tommy. Some bigger than others. I lost my way, and I'm still trying to find it. Just like I'm hoping you can forgive me. The kitchen was silent, the only sound the rustling of leaves outside as the wind swept through the trees. Sarah watched Tommy's face, searching for any hint of response. I want to understand, Matt continued, but I can't expect you to forgive me right away. I hope one day you'll see that people can change. You were supposed to protect me, Tommy murmured, the anger in his voice unsteady, like a flame flickering in the wind. I don't know if I can trust you again. Matt lowered his gaze, nodding slowly. I get that. And I appreciate how hard this is for you. I wish I could take back what happened. I wish I could change everything that went wrong, but I can't. All I can do is try to be better. Tommy's shoulders began to relax, just a bit. He leaned back, staring at the toy badge without touching it. You really think you can change? Yes, Matt said firmly, his gaze meeting Tommy's. I have to believe that. I want to help. I want to be a better person for you and for everyone in this community. But I can't do that without you. The weight of his words hung in the air, a fragile thread of hope woven into the space between them. Sarah felt the tension begin to shift, a hint of something softer sparking in her son's eyes. What if I want to be a hero, too? Tommy finally asked, vulnerability inching into his tone. Matt smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. You already are. It takes courage to ask questions, to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's hard. As Tommy considered this, Sarah felt a surge of emotion. Could this be the beginning of something positive? Could her son find his way back to trust? In the silence that followed, the three of them stood on the edge of something new, a potential for reconciliation, but then a sharp knock came again, this time more insistent. The door rattled softly as Sarah instinctively stepped back, uncertainty creeping back into her heart. Who could it be now? Would it complicate this fragile moment? Mom. Tommy's voice trembled again, apprehension clouding his features. What if it's someone else who wants to hurt me? He whispered, his previous resolve melting away as fear took hold once more. The door stood ready to swing open, and with it hung the possibility of more chaos, more questions. Just when they thought they could begin to heal, a new storm threatened to break. Who was on the other side? Would they shatter the fragile peace just beginning to form? The door swung open suddenly, sending a shiver through the room. It was Amelia, Tommy's best friend, standing there with wide eyes and her hair tousled by the wind, breathless from running. Tommy! She gasped, darting inside as if the world outside was chasing her. You have to come quick. There's trouble at the park. In that moment, the tentative atmosphere in the kitchen shifted instantly. The fragile thread of understanding that had begun to weave between Tommy and Officer Matt snapped as Tommy shot up from his chair, eyes darting between his mother and Amelia. Trouble? What do you mean? His concern for his friend overpowered his earlier hesitation. Sarah's heart raced too, a motherly instinct taking over as she sensed the urgency. Amelia, visibly shaking, glanced back at the door. The older kids, they're messing around with that new graffiti can and some of them were looking for you. They said they were going to get even for what happened last week. Tommy's face blanched, the thrill of being a hero now tainted by fear. What do you mean? Is it because of me? His voice cracked, vulnerability shattering the newfound confidence Matt had just nurtured. I think they're mad about the cops, and they heard you were talking to one. They think it's all your fault, she said urgently, her voice trembling. I didn't want you to be alone. Sarah's heart sank. How quickly everything could turn from hope to fear. Officer Matt felt the weight of this moment too. He straightened, his jaw tightening. I'll go with you, Tommy, he said, determination flooding his voice. Tommy hesitated, torn between the instinct to trust the man who once betrayed him and his urge to stay hidden away from more confrontation. What if they want to hurt me? Matt knelt, looking directly into Tommy's eyes. You have every right to feel that way. But I promise you I'll protect you. That's what a good cop does. You can be a hero today, Tommy. But you have to let me help you. Seeing Matt's earnestness, Tommy took a breath and finally nodded. Courage flickered in his eyes, igniting the hope that had been lost just moments before. Okay, he whispered. Let us go. As they moved toward the door, Sarah felt the pull of fear and uncertainty gnawing at her. "Wait." She reached out, gripping Tommy's arm gently. "Just be careful, both of you. If it gets too much, come back home." Tommy nodded, his resolve firm but his heart racing. As they stepped outside, the world felt different. It was electric with possibilities, but shrouded in danger. They hurried down the path to the park, the weight of their conversation still buzzing in the background. The colors of the approaching sunset painted the sky, but all Sarah could think about was the impending confrontation. "Tommy!" Amelia shouted, her voice tinged with urgency. "It's this way." Tommy glanced back at his mother, and for a heartbeat, their eyes locked. In that brief moment, 1,000 words passed between them, a silent prayer, a hope that this would define who he could become. As they turned the corner, the park came into view. It was crowded with chaos, older kids loomed like shadows, tagging the playground, looking for someone to lash out at. One of them turned, eyes narrowing as they caught sight of Tommy and Matt. What is going to happen now? Sarah wondered, a ripple of dread coursing through her. Would this be the moment of truth that would define Tommy's journey? Caught in the tension between fear and duty, the air crackled as they stepped into the fray, hearts pounding. One wrong decision could change everything. Who would emerge from the shadows as a hero, and who might fall? The answer lingered in the air, deftly poised on the edge of chaos. The air was thick with tension as Tommy and Matt took tentative steps into the park. Laughter and shouts of older kids broke through the background noise, but the sounds hit different, a mix of daring and menace. Tommy's heart raced, each beat drumming a rhythm of uncertainty in his chest. He scanned the scene, breathing hard. There was a group near the swings, huddled together with spray cans at their feet, their eyes darting around like hawks hunting prey. They were clearly waiting for something, or someone. He glanced at Amelia, who stuck close to him, her eyes wide with worry. "What do we do?" Tommy asked, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "We stay calm and go straight for them," Matt replied, his voice steady and reassuring. "Stick together. I'm right here." The firm grip of the officer's hand on his shoulder was grounding. Tommy nodded, feeling a flicker of bravery light within him. As they walked closer, the group of older kids spotted them. One kid, about 16, with a black hoodie pulled tightly around his face, stepped forward, smirking. "Look who it is. The little rat and his babysitter." A swell of anger mixed with dread surged through Tommy. "I didn't do anything. This is between you and me," he shouted, trying to sound tough, though his voice quavered. "Oh, but it isn't it? You think you're better than us just because you told the cops." The older boy moved closer, eyes glimmering with menace. Matt stepped forward, positioning himself slightly in front of Tommy. "That's enough. You need to walk away now," he said firmly, projecting an authority that had been absent during their earlier encounters. The tension escalated. Tommy could feel it in the air, thickening with each heartbeat. Murmurs swept through the crowd of kids, eyes shifting from Tommy to Matt, gauging the situation. Amelia squeezed Tommy's hand, her grip tight as if she could anchor him. "Maybe we should just leave," she whispered, casting a nervous glance towards the growing group. "No. I can't run away," Tommy insisted, his voice rising with defiance. "This is my chance to stand up." With that single statement, a hush fell over the gathering of kids. The older boy stepped back for a moment, caught off guard by Tommy's resolve. But as the silence stretched, the tension broke and laughter erupted from one of the other kids. "Look at the little hero. Think you can take us all?" Thomas clenched his fists, feeling the weight of their cruel words. But he felt something unexpected, a rush of courage. It was like the world boiled down to this moment. He had to speak up, not just for himself but for everything he had dreamt of becoming. "I don't want to fight, but I won't let you bully me anymore," he proclaimed, voice shaky but filled with a fierce determination. Matt caught Tommy's gaze, pride flashing in his eyes. "That's it, kid. You're stronger than you think," he said, his voice low enough for just Tommy to hear. The mood shifted, whispers trailing through the crowd, uncertainty growing among the older kids. Just as Tommy began to hope that maybe, just maybe, they would back down, the boy in the hoodie stepped closer again, his face darkening once more. "Let us settle this right here, right now," he challenged, jaw set in defiance. Tommy's heart raced. Could he really face this? He had always wanted to be seen as brave, but now it felt dangerously real. As he prepared to respond, a shout erupted from the back of the crowd. "Hey! What is going on here?" Both Tommy and Matt turned to see a familiar figure advancing, Sarah, his mother, rushing toward them, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. The world seemed to freeze as she broke through the gathering, urgency in her stride. "Tommy!" she exclaimed, voice laced with concern. What would happen when she reached him? Would she pull him back or encourage him to fight? Tommy felt everything within him tighten. Suddenly, this wasn't just about him, it was also about his mother, and trusting him with courage he wasn't sure he possessed. "Mom, he began, but the words tangled in his throat. What would she say? And, more importantly, what would he decide to do next? The stakes were rising, and the defining moment loomed closer than ever. Tommy's breath caught in his throat as his mother charged toward him, her eyes a mix of worry and fierce love. He could see the tightness in her jaw, the way she looked at him like he was about to leap off a cliff. The laughter and taunts from the older kids faded away, eclipsed by the intensity of his mother's gaze. "Mom, I'm fine," he said, attempting a brave face even as his heart pounded like a drum. "Do you think you're fine? This isn't a game." She shot back, her voice firm but dripping with fear. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Let us just go home." But as soon as the words left her mouth, Tommy felt that flicker of courage he had just discovered begin to wane. Leaving felt like retreating, like letting them win. "No, Mom," he replied, his voice steadier than before. "I want to stand my ground. I'm tired of being afraid." Sarah's face softened, a moment of hesitation passing over her. She scanned the crowd, the intimidation lingering in the air. "Tommy, I know you want to be brave. But there are times to be strong and times to walk away." This she waved her hand toward the hulking group of older kids. "This isn't worth it." Tommy's throat tightened. "Then what is worth it? I need to do this for me, for us." He felt a rush of heat, emboldened not only by his fears but the presence of Amelia beside him, her hand still clutched in his. Matt had moved to stand beside him, the silent support urging him on. It felt like a team against an army, but in that moment, they were firmly united. "Kid," the older boy in the hoodie sneered, "do you want to humiliate yourself in front of your mommy? You think she'll save you?" Tommy straightened, feeling the warmth of determination coil around him. "I'm not asking her to save me. I'm asking you to just leave me alone." His defiance prickled the edges of the immediate silence. The kid seemed caught between laughter and perceived astonishment at Tommy's refusal to back down. "Look at him," the boy said mockingly. "He's brave enough to face all of us, or just stupid enough." A ripple of uncertain laughter moved through the crowd. But Tommy held firm, refusing to break under the gaze of the older boy. He glanced at Matt, searching for confirmation, and found it. "Tommy," his mother said gently now, "sometimes, standing your ground doesn't mean fighting. It means knowing when to walk away." But there was a fire in his belly, the fierce desire to reclaim his value and make it clear that he wouldn't be everyone's punching bag any longer. "I don't want to walk away if that means letting them win," he stated, throwing a determined look back at the hooded boy. Just then, the tension in the park shot up like static electricity buzzing before a storm. A sudden yell echoed from behind the crowd, unsettling the stillness. "What are you all doing here? Knock it off." All heads turned as a looming figure appeared behind the older kids. It was Ms. Jensen, the school principal, her presence commanding as she strode forward like a beacon of authority. "Enough. she barked, eyes scanning the scene. This isn't how we behave in our community. As she stepped next to Tommy, he could feel his heart quicken again, not out of fear but of surprise. Maybe he wasn't as alone as he thought. The older boy's bravado faltered momentarily, his gaze shifting from Ms. Jensen back to Tommy. "What kind of joke is this?" he muttered, the bravado leaking from his words. But before Tommy could even digest the comfort of the situation, Sarah looked at him, her expression clearer now. "You are strong, and I believe in you," she whispered fiercely, feeding into his newfound strength. Was this turning point finally shifting in Tommy's favor? Tommy took a deep, courageous breath, feeling like he could finally breathe. "And I believe in myself," he declared, the words bursting forth like fireworks in the night sky. But would that be enough to shatter the brewing storm, or would he have to stand against the tides of peer pressure in a way he had never imagined? The fight was far from over, and the true test of courage awaited. The air crackled with tension after Tommy's bold declaration. Ms. Jensen stood her ground, arms crossed and unyielding, while the older kids shifted uneasily. It was as if time had paused, everyone waiting to see how this would unfold. "You think you can just bully him because you're bigger?" Ms. Jensen's voice cut through the silence, unwavering. "This stops now. You're all better than this behavior, and you know it." Tommy's stomach twisted. He wanted to believe her words were true, but the laughter echoed in his mind, taunting him. Would they change? Or would they laugh harder now that they felt cornered? Amelia squeezed his hand even tighter, her warmth a grounding force. "You said it, Tommy," she murmured. "You believe in yourself. That's what counts." He looked at her, hope washing over him like a warm wave. Maybe he wasn't as isolated as he feared. Perhaps being brave wasn't about how big or strong he was, but about embracing who he was at that moment. "How about we all take a step back? Find some kindness?" Ms. Jensen continued, addressing the group. "I believe every one of you has it in you to make better choices." Tommy's heart raced as the older boy in the hoodie exchanged glances with his friends. For the first time, they looked uncertain. The sharp edges of their mockery seemed to dull as the crowd shuffled and glanced at one another. "Yeah, what's the point of this?" one of the older kids muttered, avoiding Tommy's gaze. "It's boring anyway." "Yeah," another chimed in, their bravado fading. "Let us just go." As they began to break apart, Tommy felt a weight lift. Maybe standing his ground was working. Maybe he had shown them that he was not ready to stay silent or be afraid. "See? That wasn't so hard, was it?" Ms. Jensen said, her voice softening. She turned to Tommy, her steady gaze filled with encouragement. "You did well. Really well." Tommy's chest swelled with pride, and for the first time in a long while, he felt like victory was not just a dream. He had seized it in that moment. Yet as the adrenaline began to fade, reality crept in. What would happen next? His mother stepped close, cupping his face in her hands. "I'm so proud of you, Tommy. You showed real bravery today." "Thanks, Mom," he replied, the emotion thick in his throat. Overwhelming relief washed over him, and he felt the tears prickling at his eyes, but before he could fully grasp the joy of the moment, a bright flash caught his attention. Across the park, he saw a familiar figure, a middle-aged man in a cop's uniform, standing with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. Was he watching? Was he judging? What's his deal? Matt said, following Tommy's gaze. There was tension in his eyes, a concern that resonated deeply within the group. Tommy felt a chill creep down his spine. He'd seen that cop before around the neighborhood. Something in the man's demeanor struck a chord of warning in Tommy's gut. "Hey, why is he looking over here?" Amelia whispered, fear creeping into her voice. The tension heralded something still unspoken, something more profound beneath the surface. Would this stranger bring a new wave of problems? Was he only watching, or did he carry a message, good or bad? The questions danced in Tommy's mind, and although he had won this battle, He sensed another challenge looming nearby. Tommy took a step forward, feeling the strength of his friends behind him ready to face whatever was coming. But what did the newcomer want? The air hung thick with uncertainty as conflict threatened to spark again. "Tommy, are you really okay?" Sarah asked, concern written clear across her face. For now, uncertainty loomed just as heavily as their previous fears had, waiting for the next clue that could swing everything back into chaos. Would they be able to weather yet another storm? The cop took a step closer, his silhouette casting a long shadow that loomed over the group. Tommy's heart raced as the man's eyes locked onto his. It felt like a spotlight pinning him in place, and he fought the urge to shrink away. He wasn't a kid to be intimidated anymore, not after what he had just faced. "Hey there, kids," the officer said, his voice deep and authoritative but edged with an unfamiliar softness. "I saw what happened. That took a lot of courage." The group exchanged cautious glances. Did bravery count for anything now? Why was he here? Was this a good sign or a bad one? Tommy also noticed how Mr. Gregson, who ran the local ice cream shop, had joined the crowd, leaning against a tree with crossed arms, watching intently, his brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Tommy asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Why are you here?" "I just wanted to check in. I know things have been a bit rough around here," the cop said, his eyes narrowing slightly as he surveyed the kids. "But you standing up for yourself? That's something to be proud of. Not everyone can do that." Tommy could feel Amelia squeezing his hand even tighter, a mixture of encouragement and worry on her face. He didn't quite know what to make of the cop's words. Deep down, a part of him wanted to thank the officer, but another part felt a tug of anxiety. Would this man help or hinder them? "Tommy, this is Officer Harris. He's known around town," Ms. Jensen interjected, sensing the uncertainty in the air. "He's here to support the community." "Isn't that right, officer?" "Yes, ma'am," Officer Harris replied, nodding. "I'm here to help, not make things more difficult. If there's anything at all going on that needs attention, I want to know about it." For a brief moment, the fear that had settled in the pit of Tommy's stomach began to lift. Here was a figure of authority, willing to listen. Maybe this was a chance for change, not just for him, but for everyone in the neighborhood who felt pushed around. "Are you going to tell our parents?" Sarah asked, her voice tiny yet brave. "Because we don't want to get anyone in trouble." "Only if you want me to," Officer Harris said gently, kneeling to meet their eyes. "I'm not here to punish anybody. I want to see this community thrive, not be divided. Bullying isn't just a school issue, it's a community issue." Tommy felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was the opening they needed to make things better. To change this world they had grown up in, filled with laughter and pain. But would the other kids agree? Would they trust this officer or see him as a threat? As Tommy opened his mouth to speak, ready to express his thoughts, something caught his attention. Behind Officer Harris, a familiar face emerged from the crowd, someone who hadn't been seen in a long time. The moment frozen in time made Tommy's heart drop. His older brother, Jake, finally back from his own troubles, stood there, eyes wide and searching. Everything in that moment shifted. Would Jake want to support him, or would he add to the confusion? Did he even remember what had happened to Tommy while he'd been gone? "Tommy!" Jake shouted, breaking through the chatter, his voice cutting the tension like a knife. "Where have you been, little bro?" And with that one question, everything changed. The room was charged with anticipation. Tommy's heart raced. Was he ready to face the past and seize the future all at once? Would the reunion heal their broken bond or tear open old wounds? Tommy blinked as Jake strode forward, his familiar face a mix of concern and excitement. Every uncertainty Tommy had felt now clashed with the rush of memories, the good ones, the ones that haunted him. He had always looked up to Jake. In their formative years, he had been the one to play catch with him, and to remind him not to let anyone push him around. But now, Tommy wasn't sure how to feel. "Tommy?" Jake's voice softened as he approached, knees bending slightly to meet him at eye level. "You okay?" Before Tommy could answer, Amelia tugged his hand. "We were just talking to Officer Harris," she explained, glancing from Tommy to Jake, unsure of the implications their reunion might have. Officer Harris took a step back and studied Jake closely. He seemed to recognize the name from somewhere. "Is this your brother?" he asked, his tone shifting to one of careful neutrality. "Yeah," Tommy mumbled, his gaze dropping to the ground. The weight of Jake's return felt like both an anchor and an open sky. "Tommy, listen," Jake said, voice steady but filled with urgency, "I came back because I heard you were having a hard time. I wanted to check on you." The stale air shifted and felt charged, electric between Tommy and Jake. Despite the comfort of seeing his brother, Tommy knew that the past wasn't going to stay buried. It was right there, whispering the secrets of the days Jake had been away. "You don't really know, do you?" he said quietly, still avoiding Jake's eyes, the pit in his stomach tight with unspoken burdens. Jake's expression faltered for a moment, confusion widening the circle of his brow. "What do you mean?" "Things have changed," Tommy said. "We've changed." He finally lifted his head, searching Jake's eyes for understanding. "I had to stand up for myself. For all of us. That's why Officer Harris is here." Mr. Gregson, still watching from afar, nodded slowly. "It's good to see you back, Jake. But Tommy here has been through a lot since you left." The tension in the air thickened again. Tommy could feel the weight of their community's eyes on him, on all of them. Jake took a deep breath, his demeanor shifting as he adjusted to the revelation. "I want to help, Tommy. Whatever it is, we can face it together." Officer Harris chimed in, his voice steadying the atmosphere. "And I'm here to support that. Community is everything. Everyone deserves a place where they feel safe." But would Tommy really be safe? His instinct was both to run into Jake's arms for comfort and to push him away, afraid that the past would overwhelm them both. The struggle within him felt like a storm, chaotic and unmanageable. Suddenly, there was a commotion down the street. A group of older kids, known troublemakers, were approaching. Tommy's heart sank. They had been the source of so much pain. "Jake, we can't," Tommy began, panic flaring just as the kids started laughing, pointing directly at him. "Looks like the little brat has some company," one of them jeered, shoving another kid forward. Laughter echoed. It felt like a fist to Tommy's gut. "Don't let them get to you," Jake urged, stepping protectively in front of Tommy, but Tommy's thoughts raced. What if this ended everything? What if Jake couldn't handle it? Would he run away again, leaving Tommy alone once more? As uncertainty swirled around him, the bond with his brother stood on a tense edge, ready to either mend their hurt or deepen the chasm. He could either fight to protect his new sense of courage alongside Jake, or retreat into the shadows once more. In that moment, standing between the officer and the gathering mockery, Tommy realized that his choice could change everything. Would he stand tall, or let the storm sweep him away again? The raw tension hung in the air as he took a deep breath, preparing to speak, ready to make a choice that could either unite them or break them once more. Would he find the strength to face not just the bullies ahead, but also the complicated past he shared with his brother? Tommy stood frozen, his heart racing. The laughter and taunts from the approaching troublemakers washed over him like cold water, threatening to extinguish the fire of courage he had ignited just moments ago. His brother Jake stood beside him, muscles tense and ready, but would that be enough? "Let us go, Tommy." One of the older kids shouted, pushing forward, the cruel smirk on his face cutting through the gathering unease. "You think you can be a hero? You just got lucky." Tommy felt anger bubbling within him, but it quickly morphed into fear. Memories of the bullying surged back, sinking weight in his chest. Could he really stand up to them? "Don't listen to them," Jake urged, stepping forward, determination sparking in his dark eyes. "You're stronger than they know. You showed everyone that today. For the first time, Tommy looked directly at Jake. His brother had always been there, a shield against the world, but now he felt exposed. What if I mess up again? He whispered, the vulnerability clear in his voice. Jake crouched down, pulling Tommy closer, their foreheads almost touching. What if you don't? He replied softly. They can't take away what you did today. Remember, courage isn't about never being scared, it's about facing that fear. You've faced a lot already. Tommy felt a warmth radiate from his brother's proximity, a steady reminder that he wasn't alone. He nodded slightly, gripping Amelia's hand tighter. I'm not afraid to stand up, he said, voice steadying. But I want to fight. The crowd shifted, sensing Tommy's resolve. He scanned the faces, taking in the uncertainty among the older kids. They were used to backing people down, perhaps they never expected a challenge. Their laughter faltered as they traded glances, hesitation blooming in their ranks much like the warmth from the sun breaking through dark clouds. Yeah, right. One of them barked, trying to claw back his bravado. But Tommy met his gaze head-on, refusing to back down. You think this is funny? He raised his voice, feeling a surge of adrenaline wash over him. It's not. You don't know what I've been through, but I won't let you intimidate me anymore. As he spoke, the people around him seemed to hold their breath. Officer Harris took a step forward. Listen up. He called out, drawing attention away from Tommy. This community fights together, and what Tommy just did was the first step in standing up for each other. That is what makes a real hero. The position shifted. The tide began to turn, the older kids faltered under the weight of truth. Cowardice dressed in bravado fell apart, and murmurs surged through the younger crowd joining Tommy's side in solidarity. We don't have to live like this, Tommy continued, his voice stronger now. We can be better. All of us. Suddenly, the laughter faded into awkward silence, disrupted only by the rustling of wind through the trees, as if suspense tightened the air around them. One of the older boys shoved his hands into his pockets, uncertain now, and muttered, whatever, man. The dismissive tone fell flat, a flimsy mask cracking under the pressure of real emotions swirling in the air. Great job, buddy. Jake exclaimed, pride shining in his eyes as he ruffled Tommy's hair affectionately. You're not just a little kid anymore. Tommy couldn't help the small smile that broke through the storm inside him. Maybe today was different, the pain could push open the door to something new. Just then, the crowd parted as Ms. Jensen approached, her voice firm. This isn't how we treat each other. Bullying stops now. I'm here to help if anyone wants to talk about it. With that, the moment swelled with possibility, the tension easing, as if the sun began to shine brighter through the shadows. I'm sorry, Tommy, a kid murmured from the back, stepping closer with shame written across his face. I didn't mean to. Yeah, you didn't know what it's like, another added quietly, moving to stand beside Tommy. But maybe we can fix this together. Tommy felt the weight of connection surge within him, a blooming sense of belonging. We can, he affirmed, no longer alone in his quest for a kinder future. I will help you guys, he stated boldly. But you've got to promise to listen. We can be a community that protects each other. We're all in this together. Jake nodded beside him. That's right. We're family. And when one of us hurts, we all feel it. This is our home. The response was a hand raised here, a few shoulders clapping their less hostility and more warmth. Air filled with hope instead of anger, as they slowly began to reshape their world together. Tommy turned to Officer Harris, proud but humble. Thank you. For believing in us. Never doubt you have what it takes, Tommy. You're not just a child with a dream, you're a voice for change, Officer Harris replied, sincerity in his tone. With a final wave of silence, the looming shadows began to lift. Tommy glanced around and felt the warmth of his mother's presence behind him. Her proud smile ignited a wave of comfort, and for the first time, he truly felt like a hero, not just in his dreams but in reality. "Let us go get some ice cream," Jake suggested, breaking through the moment, laughter and chatter rising again. "Yes!" Tommy exclaimed, and just like that, he felt the last layers of fear fall away, exchanged for love, laughter, and an unbreakable bond of hope. The calm after the storm had settled, offering a brighter tomorrow that echoed unmistakably behind them. As they walked away from the park together, he turned back one last time to see the gathering of new friends behind him. They were smiling, united. Yes, change was possible, and they would pave the way together. It was time to embrace the future, not as just a dreamer but as someone who was brave enough to take a stand and inspire others to do the same. Don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to the channel to catch the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And please, comment your thoughts about this transformative journey and share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see how powerful standing up can be. This is the moment to show your support. Let us keep this community growing and thriving together.